Are we seeing the making of a new world order involving Russia, India, and China? A new collaboration. Putin is in the middle of this. Xi's in the middle of this. Modi from India is in the middle of this. And is this a plan, a scheme to topple the West? What are we talking about? We're talking about these headlines that are coming out. Look at this. Smiles and clasped hands as Xi and Putin and Modi try to signal unity. Xi welcomes Putin to a secretive summit for axis of upheaval. Here's another headline. Car rides and hand-holding. Putin, Modi, and Xi send Trump appointed message. We're going to talk about that today, as well as some new information saying that China is set to unveil the world's most powerful laser defense system. Also, Chinese EMP strikes could rapidly disable U.S. allied forces in conflict. They're bringing up the importance of knowing that this could be a real potential threat. Also, French hospitals are preparing for a major engagement as Europe prepares for World War III. What they're saying is within months. And then we're going to talk about Venezuela. Maduro claims U.S. seeks regime change through military threat and Caribbean buildup. We got a lot to cover on today's podcast, so buckle up and let's get after it.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's up, guys? It is the 2nd of September. We're now into what many are calling the danger zone of the year 2025. We're in the month of September, and there's so much going on. We just covered this yesterday on a podcast. I call it this trifecta of you've got another blood moon falling on a major Jewish holiday, and then Israel is in the crosshairs at the UN summit. But that's not all. There's a lot of other events that are going to be happening in the months of September. We're not going to cover that on today's podcast, but we're going to cover that this week. Some other events to look forward to. But speaking of events, as we said in the introduction of this, guys, things are really accelerating. We want to get you up to par with what's going on around the world and how this could involve the West, and how there appears to be some plans that are being put in place to counter the measures that Trump is trying to bring to put America first. But it appears that Putin, Xi, and Modi are all they're forming this alliance to try to counter that. And some are calling this a formation of a new world order. So we're going to cover all that today. And before we get started, you know the drill. Help us out. Get some eyes on this. And you can do that by hitting that like button. And if you guys like to keep up with all of our content here on YouTube and be assured that you catch all of our programs, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell notification as well. And there is a way you can take it even a step further, because sometimes YouTube doesn't send out those notifications. And if you guys want to be assured that you catch everything that we put out, every headline, every podcast, prophecy updates, breaking news, when we have special guests, all of it, it's going to be right there on our app. We do have a free app. It is available on Apple and Android devices. You can go to your app store, just type in End Time Headlines, look for our official trademark ETH logo that you'll see right there on your screen. Or you, in the description of this video, you can find where it says download our free app. Just click on that link and that's going to take you. And then once you download it, hit yes to push notifications and you're going to be set to go, and you'll be able to not miss anything that we put out. All right, let's get right into this. Smiles and clasped hands of Xi, Putin, and Modi try to signal unity. Their display of friendship in China was aimed at projecting an alternative to U.S. global leadership, even as serious differences among them remain. This was a scene in eastern China, almost certainly intended for an audience on the other side of the world. The leaders of China, Russia, and India, the three largest powers not aligned with the West, smiling and laughing like good friends as they greeted one another at this summit that just took place. It started with the Prime Minister Modi of India and President Vladimir Putin of Russia holding hands and walking into a meeting hall filled with other world leaders. They head straight for President Xi of China, shake hands in form of a closed circle. A few words are exchanged before translators join the huddle. Mr. Putin cracked a broad smile, and Mr. Modi lets out a big laugh. At one point, Mr. Modi joins hands with these two leaders. This carried multiple messages, according to analysts. They are saying, and we're going to break all that down, guys. I don't want to read all of this. I'm going to get you to these other headlines. We'll just kind of give you a synopsis or a summary of this, and then we'll break down what does this mean. All right, here's another headline. Xi welcomes Putin to, quote, secretive summit for axis of upheaval. And then NBC News, they titled this, this meeting was a pointed message. The leaders of Russia, China, and India met at a key regional summit in the northern Chinese port city of Tianjin on Monday as they navigate tensions with the United States.
The leaders of China, Russia, and India are meeting together as China hosts a major Eurasian security summit. More than 20 leaders are expected at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's meetings. China's leader, Xi Jinping, is using the summit to present China as a stable alternative to the U.S.-led world order. And this is happening as President Trump's tariffs upend trade negotiations and countries' alliances. One of the high-profile attendees in is India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's his first visit to China in 7 years. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin, also there, is expected to stay for 4 days. He'll be there on Wednesday when China caps off the high-level meetings with an elaborate military parade, and it's intended to show off the country's military might. Joining me now, CNN Global Affairs analyst Kimberly Dozier. Kimberly, good morning to you. Let's start with President Xi's intentions here. What's his goal for the summit?
Well, he is taking advantage of the tariff disarray to present China as the alternative, and showing that he can master all of these forces together in a Eurasian economic, political, and military bloc of sorts that rivals anything that the West and the U.S. used to present in terms of, the organizations and the countries that you want to do business with because you can count on them. What Xi is sending a message to the world about is saying, we are the stable country, as you mentioned in your intro, whereas you never know what's going to come out of Washington next.
Yeah, we're showing the video now of this bilateral meeting here between China and India, and Narendra Modi on the screen now. Talk about his involvement and his, I guess, growing alliance with China, considering just days ago the announcement of those 50% tariffs on India.
Now, I wanted to point out something here. He uses this term, the growing alliance between India and China. I'm going to show you how these two major countries could play into a role in Bible prophecy when we get into the tribulation. So hang in there with us for a second, guys. We'll show you the prophetic viewpoint of this.
Yeah, India and China have been at odds for years over a border dispute and a clash several years ago that was deadly and killed several Indian forces. But the more Washington beats up on Delhi, the more Modi has reached out to China and also been embraced by Xi.
Wow.
The latest tariffs imposed on India are an extra 25%, totaling 50%. And that extra 25% is a complaint by the US that India is buying crude oil from Russia. Now, this is hypocritical in a number of different ways. The US isn't levying similar tariffs against China, which buys even more oil from Russia. And a large portion of the oil that India imports from Russia, it refines and then sells on to the European Union, which is supporting Ukraine. So why not beat up the European Union economically over purchasing this Russian oil? That's not happening. And so from the Indian point of view, this is manifestly unfair. And another reason to
Now, I know some of you guys get bent out of shape because we're showing you CNN here. But again, we throw all angles, guys. Fox News, CNN. We give you left-wing, right-wing but it's important that you hear the full picture of what's going on here.
Look at who they do business with, and China's looking like the more stable partner.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to stop the video right here, and let's break this down. That way we can get an understanding of what does all this mean? We need this simplified. Okay. This, simply put, guys, what this is a major push for multipolar global governance. This is what this is. Xi Jinping, again, President Xi of China, advocated for a multipolar world order, if you would, casting aside the U.S. dominance. He's pitching, just as this analyst said, a China-led model rooted in sovereign equality and multilateralism. This is what he's proposing here, and it is an SCO-run development bank, an international energy cooperation platform, and he is providing $1.4 billion in loans to member states over the next 3 years. So these are incentives that Xi is making to those who would join with him. Also, access to China's Beidou satellite system for SCO members. At this particular summit, these three leaders, Putin, Modi, and Xi, stated a highly symbolic moment, publicly holding hands, and they laughed together, projecting visibly a united front against a Western influence. Modi's engagement with both of these leaders signals a shift from India's typical balancing act and reflects growing distance from the West. Again, the analyst just went over that from CNN, partly fueled by the U.S. tariffs under Trump. So we don't want to rehash all that. Now here, listen to this. When I did some research on this, some analysts suggest that this summit signals the emergence of a Sino-centric world order by the year 2049. What does that even mean? It's a continental milestone for the Chinese Communist Party, positioning Xi as a global leader of the, quote, global South and deepening Sino-Russian ties. Wow. So there's this emergence of this new world order, or whatever you want to call it, this global convergence, global system that is forming, again, to defy the West. So in summary, this summit presents a challenge to the U.S.-led global order by cultivating an alternative framework centered on SCO institutions, presenting a unified front against Western dominance. Now, when you couple this, you have BRICS and the SCO expansion. This is building a broader realignment of global alliances. Now, let's go to the Bible. This is where, in my opinion, it gets intriguing. I want to pull this verse up for you guys listening by Apple or Spotify. By the way, we appreciate you guys. If you could help us out, give us a good review. That's just like hitting that like button if you're watching this by visual. All right, we're in Revelation. Where are we at? Revelation chapter 16. We're going to go down here to verse 12. Then the sixth angel poured out his bowl. Again, this is in the tribulation. Poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way of the kings of the east, somebody in the chat type in kings of the east, the Euphrates will dry up so that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Okay? I want to focus on that for a second. So I'm going to pull this back so you can listen to me for a second about the kings of the east. During this sixth bowl judgment, this is really during the climax of the Great Tribulation that we're going into here in Revelation 16. You see the drying up of the Euphrates. Now, there's speculation on how that's going to happen. Most likely it's going to be a major drought and famine that'll take place. And this will literally clear a path for these, whoever these kings of the east, we're going to get into that in just a moment. It'll give them a opportunity to march westward, ultimately converging in a battle called the Battle of Armageddon. They will actually come against the Antichrist. That's what they're coming, because the Antichrist is taking control. Revelation 13, he set up his headquarters in Jerusalem in the Temple Mount. There's 10 kings that have now surrendered their power over to him through all this. So the Antichrist is just dominating through the Middle East, and then now the kings of the East are ready to oppose him. Now, here's what's interesting. The biblical world, the East, when you go to the scriptures, this is the land beyond the Euphrates River. So we're talking about Mesopotamia, Persia, India, China. So I want you to, let me say that again. In the Bible, literal direction, when it talks about the kings of the East, this means land that's beyond the Euphrates River. This highlights these areas, which is the Mesopotamia area, Persia, India, and China. Notice in Revelation 16:12, it didn't say king of the East. It says kings, plural tense. This suggests to us, logically, guys, that it's a coalition of nations and not just a nation. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting, because if we were to do a poll, and if I was to set 12 biblical scholars here, 12 individuals who do prophecy, they're experts in eschatology, the study of end times, and we were to ask them, who do you say the kings of the East are? Who do you say the kings of the East are? Who do you say? You're going to get a general consensus of these, in some way, form, or fashion. You're going to get these nations that are going to come to the table. Ready? Number one, China. Often cited as the main king of the East, China, because of its population and growing military. Revelation 9:16 consequently speaks of an army of 200 million that will be a part of this march. And China alone has the potential to mobilize such military capacity. What is called the China's Belt, this is a road initiative, even connects Asia to the Middle East, which many prophecy watchers have noted. All right, another major country that could likely be a part of this coalition is India. Now, are y'all paying attention? Modi, this global alliance that's forming with Putin, which is Russia, who is a player of Gog and Magog. India has also a massive population. They have nuclear capability. So India very well could be one of these players. Then you have Japan and you have Korea. Many will say North Korea, more than likely. While historically not land armies, modern alliances and tensions could place them in an Eastern bloc as well. Now, I want you to think about this. Here we have, this is not now, but in the future, you're going to have an alliance that will form, and what we would call this coalition of Asian nations forming an alliance. Now, if you thought that was far-fetched when you read Revelation 16, look at the headlines that are coming out right now with this alliance that's forming between China, Russia, and India. So you literally, guys, you can see how this is all starting to unfold. And it won't take much. And let's get back to the reason why this coalition is forming, this alliance is forming. They're forming in defiance of the West actions. So when the Antichrist rises to power, and he's going to do far, if you think, for all the people that think that Trump is, doing some stuff that is questionable and this and that, wait till the Antichrist rises to power and takes control of the gold, the silver, the oil, resources. He starts implementing the mark of the beast, commanding people to take something in their right hand and in their forehead, commanding people to bow down and worship and what I believe is an AI designed, AI created image of the beast, along with the false prophet of Revelation 13. Think about all of that happening, and then you've got this coalition of Asian nations. They're saying enough is enough, and they seize the opportunity of a massive famine or drought that is drought up the Euphrates River. They form this alliance, and they start marching eastward towards Jerusalem and towards Israel. So am I the only one to think? I think this is interesting. This is intriguing because you can really see how this stuff is starting to come together. Now let's go back to China, because there's some headlines that's come out that I thought was definitely worth talking about. Let's look at this. According to a report, China is set to unveil the world's most powerful laser defense system in front of Putin. A new weapon dubbed the most powerful laser air defense system in the world is expected to be unveiled in China. Now, this was released yesterday. This would be today. Lasers are set to be at the forefront of a high-tech military parade to mark 80 years since the end of World War II, which will be attended by world leaders Putin and Kim Jong-un. Rehearsals for the event in Beijing showed the new weapon mounted on an 8-wheeled truck and covered in a green tarpaulin. When the PLA eventually removes the tarp, China will show off the secret weapon that has been hiding from the world, look at this, for so long. Now, at least that is what propagandists for the Chinese military have claimed, and what the West wants to believe. All right, across the world, nations have been ramping up defense budgets from Britain to Russia to win the arms race. All eyes will be there on China tomorrow to find out if the PLA, and again, that's today, has come up with a new weapon. Now, Rob Peters, senior research fellow at the Heritage Foundation, said the U.S. analysts will be watching for technical indicators to judge if what is on display looks real or like BS. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, guys. Do you think this is true? If you believe that China has this capability and has this weapon, this most powerful laser defense system, and this is legit, hit yes. If you do not think so and you think it's just merely propaganda, then type in no. Now, of all the weapons, guys, this is the one that has always made me a little edgy. This has been, we've had many discussions on this. Top generals, military officials, we've had a lot of discussions on this right here. Chinese EMP strikes could rapidly disable U.S. allied forces in conflict. This is a brand new analyst on this new article. A single hydrogen bomb detonated about 250 miles above the U.S. would generate an EMP covering the lower 48 states. This is according to a U.S. congressional report. So this is surfacing yet again. This is nothing new. They've talked about this for years. And there's much fear that this could be a reality. The Chinese regime could deploy nuclear warheads to cause electromagnetic pulse or EMP attacks targeting U.S. military bases or allies in the Pacific. Now, we're going to talk about more on the Pacific in a minute, potentially securing a victory in a conflict by isolating those countries from U.S. support. And this is according to a retired Navy captain who served as a director of operations at U.S. Navy Pacific Command Joint Intelligence Center. But a limited deployment of such weapons utilizing the intense electromagnetic pulse generated by nuclear explosions to knock out power grids and electronics across broad swaths of territory could prove decisive should the Chinese Communist Party pursue its global or geopolitical ambitions through military means. That's something everybody's watching. This is what's again concerning with this alliance and what China is trying to grow and build here. In particular, EMP attacks over the Central Pacific would, quote, devastate the space-based communications and sensor systems the U.S. uses to alert, control, and inform its forces. This would allow the PRC to isolate Japan and Taiwan. And remember, there's been much speculation on invasion of China into Taiwan. Beijing views a democratically governed Taiwan as a rightful part of communist China and frequently conducts naval and aerial maneuvers near island territory. Some U.S. intelligence officials have, quote, warned that the Chinese People Liberation Army is aiming to be capable of invading Taiwan by 2027. All right, and it's no secret, guys. These type of weapons used to create EMPs, also called HIMPs, because of the high altitude of the strike, would have little, if any, direct destructive impact, but would cause widespread devastation by crippling the electric and digital infrastructure that modern industry, logistics, and communications rely on to function. A single hydrogen bomb detonated about 250 miles above the U.S. would generate an EMP covering the lower 48 states, with most electrical equipment and energy sources, including motor vehicles, disabled. Millions of people in areas affected by an EMP would face starvation or exposure to the elements. It would literally knock us back to the 1800s, guys. China currently possesses about 600 nuclear warheads, and according to the Pentagon, it's on track to expand its arsenal to 1,000 bombs by the year 2030. If any of these could be deployed for an EMP strike with the size of the affected area depending on the warhead's yield and the altitude at which the detonation occurs. Excuse me, let me read that again. And any of these could be deployed. Let me say that again. Any of these 600 to 1,000 bombs, again, with nuclear warheads by the year 2030, could be deployed for an EMP strike. Now, when you read on down here, Chinese military writings often describe EMP strikes using the term assassin mace, referring to a hidden weapon used by a warrior to defeat an otherwise stronger opponent in one blow. Look at this quote, as the Japanese sought to deliver a devastating first strike against the U.S. forward deployed naval forces in Hawaii during World War II, it seems that the PRC has considered a similar surprise attack using these EMPs as well. So this is what's on the table. We don't know. Nobody really knows. I mean, especially when you get in the Bible, it tells us what's going to happen. We know there's the kings of the east is going to happen. We know the Antichrist is coming. We know that he will form, the Antichrist will form his own government. He will form his own military. There'll be 10 kingdoms or 10 kings who have not yet a kingdom that they will surrender their power over. So the Antichrist will start, according to Daniel, he'll start out with a small army and he'll become great. And he'll become so powerful that this is what's going to invoke this Asia alliance to come and try to stop him. And all that is going to break out into a war called Armageddon that the Bible describes in the book of Revelation. But we're living in perilous times. We're living in wars, rumors of wars. Look at this. I don't know if you saw this. This is a new report that came out this week. French hospitals are preparing for major engagement as Europe prepares for World War III within months. Fears are growing that hospitals across the channel will need to be ready and ready themselves for an influx of wounded soldiers from across the continent by next spring at the latest. What do they know? Hospitals across France have been ordered to prepare for war amid growing fears of a full-blown military clash in Europe as Germany raises the alarm over Vladimir Putin's next move. In a chilling new document revealed by French newspaper, the French Ministry of Health told medical facilities, look at this, the French Ministry of Health told medical facilities to, quote, get ready for a major engagement by March of 2026. What does he know, guys? With expectations of waves of injured troops flooding in from across the continent. Wow. They're expecting war, World War III in Europe by spring of next year. The analysts said that by 2027, China could fully invade Taiwan. We're talking about wars, rumors of wars, nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And people, they always like to laugh and mock and ridicule the watchmen, like myself, who, when we see these harbingers and we tell people, guys, this is not a joke. These are warnings of global upheaval, conflicts, wars. And you got these blood moons, you got these solar eclipses, and look at these reports coming out. All right, the grim warning lays out a wartime scenario in which France becomes a hub for treating mass casualties, not just from its own forces, but from other European allies too. The directive urges hospitals to anticipate, prepare, and respond to the potentially huge number of injured, including military patients needing urgent care in civilian hospitals. Officials say it's vital to merge defense needs into everyday health planning. The ministry statement reads, quote, among the risks identified is the hypothesis of a major engagement where the health issue would consist of taking care of potentially high influx of victims from abroad. This comes hot on the heels of a stark warning from the Germany's chief of defense, who said the country is placing its forces and NATO's on high alert as Russia gears up for its massive Zapad 2025 war game drills in Belarus. All right, this comes, guys, on the heels of earlier this March of 2025, this year, it was reported that a new survival guide was sent out to homes across France with the government giving advice on reactions to potential emergency situations. This 20-page booklet covers preparedness for scenarios including war, natural calamities, industrial mishaps, or nuclear incidents. It is understood to contain 63 different measures and covers ways, to safeguard citizens and others in vicinity. The guide is also meant to provide information on how French people can join local defense initiatives by joining reserve forces or fire service units. All right, so we got things heating up, guys, in Asia. We got things heating up in Europe with the whole war with Russia and Ukraine that's not going away. You've got Netanyahu's caught in the middle of a mess with Gaza. All that's going to come to head this month. In about almost 20 days is when the 23rd is when it's going to really get interesting. But this kicks off on the 9th, which is next week. But then we got something else that we need to talk about. All right, did y'all see this? Maduro claims the U.S. seeks regime change through military threat amid Caribbean buildup. Maduro said that Venezuela faces the largest threat in 100 years as Trump deploys naval forces.
Tensions escalating between the United States and Venezuela amid the Trump administration's ongoing effort to topple Latin American drug cartels. The U.S. continuing to boost its maritime forces in the waters off of the South American nation, with more vessels expected to arrive this week. And this comes as the U.S. government offers a $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who has been responding to the approaching warships by ordering 15,000 of his country's troops to its border. News Nation correspondent Jorge Ventura joining us live from San Antonio with more. Jorge, what can we expect will happen next between the U.S. and Venezuela?
Well, Natasha, these escalatings are building up quite quickly. Now, U.S. defense officials are confirming with News Nation that the U.S. will be deploying at least 7 warships, 1 nuclear-powered submarine, and they'll be joined by over 4,500 Marines and sailors who are either in the region or on their way already. Now, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has also responded, saying that this is a threat to Venezuela's sovereignty and has deployed around 15,000 security forces along the Colombian border. Now, we're also learning that the Pentagon has also deployed 2 guided missile destroyers. One of those would be the USS Jason Dunham in the Caribbean, while the destroyer US Samson and the cruiser USS Lake Erie are operating in the Pacific off Latin America. Now, the shoal force will expand even further when 3 other assault ships will be joining the mission. That would also include the USS Fort Lauderdale, entering Latin America waters, carrying thousands of Marines and sailors. A defense official also confirming that a nuclear submarine is deployed, though its location remains classified. White House press secretary was asked by a reporter Thursday about the presence of U.S. warships and whether the Republican president was considering military strikes on Venezuela.
He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
Venezuela is confronting the largest threat that we've seen on our continent in the last 100 years. A situation like this has never been seen. Quote, Maduro won't blow to, he went on to say that Venezuela will not bow to threats and that it was, quote, super prepared. So are we going to see a military conflict between the U.S. and Venezuela? Are we going to see bloodshed there? What's going to happen with this? Is this going to get out of control? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on this predicament that's going on with the U.S. and Venezuela. By the way, today, this is interesting, just throwing this out there. Today, we got news, and now, as of the recording of this morning, by the time this airs tonight, we're going to know what the announcement was. So I won't be able to put this in. We may talk about, depending on what the announcement is, but Trump is scheduled to make a speech, or an announcement from the Oval Office, from the White House today. I think it's 2 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. And some say it's about a lot of the rumors that's been circulating around with his health, and he's going to just kind of put to rest some of these conspiracies or rumors. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to talk about. I don't know what the speech is. There's speculation geared around that. But again, by the time this airs tonight, we're going to know what that is. And if it's anything of a concern or if it's anything of importance, we'll definitely cover that this week in podcast. But for now, we just want to let you know that we are aware of that, and that is scheduled to happen. So, guys, wanted to get you up to par on what's going on. Again, we're seeing the formation of what is being called a New World Order with this alliance between Xi and Putin and the president of India. How could this play into? Could this help pave the way for the kings of the East later on in Revelation? Also, we're seeing the wars and rumors of wars are growing in intensity, the nation against nation, and all this is in the midst of all these interesting harbingers that are coming out of the heavens with these solar eclipses and these blood moons that are falling right during either on Jewish feast days, or they're falling in the middle of major events. Howbeit, this one is in September, right before the UN General Assembly and in the season of Teshuvah, which, again, if you don't know what that is, it's a season of repentance. It's a 40-day window, and which on an individual basis, the Lord is calling us to repentance, to repent and come back to Him, or on a national level for nations to repent of their idolatry, repent of their abominations and their sins, and turn from their sin and wicked ways, and turn to the Lord so that the Lord can heal and restore their land. So, very interesting times, guys. Again, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. That's where you can find us. Again, pick up our free app available on Apple and Android, and simply hitting that push notification. Once you download that, that's going to ensure that you keep up with all of our programs as well. Again, help us out, guys. Hit that like button. And if this ministry blesses you, encourages you, informs you, equips you, all of the above, and you'd like to become a monthly partner, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can go electronically through the app, or you can give by check or money order to End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. So, guys, that's going to be a wrap on today. On the 2nd of September, we're going to sign off for tonight. We'll be right back here, Lord willing, tomorrow night, September 3rd. Same time, same place, same channel, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on our YouTube channel. And we'll have another great podcast for you. So until then, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may His countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.